Hi guys, so I just wanted to share how I personally calculate probabilities at the table. I think some people memorize probability tables, but I just don't like memorizing things and it doesn't cater for specific holdings. So let me show you how I do it without having to memorize a single thing. Let me just preface two things. One, I'm going to be using mathematical combinations frequently, so if you don't math, then bye, just go watch another video. Secondly, these calculated probabilities will not be as accurate as memorizing a probability table because of effects such as vacant spaces. But if we understand the principles behind the calculations, we can adjust our values accordingly afterwards. This is just how I do it, kind of like the in-between of not having to memorize anything, being flexible with calculations, and not having to calculate too much. So let's get started. Let's say we have an 8-card fit, missing the queen and the jack, and you want to score all 4 tricks. Let's also assume that entries aren't an issue. So how do you calculate the best line? I think there's mainly two options. One, you catch an order and hope that one of queen or jack falls. The other is to try to double finesse both the queen and the jack. So you have 5 missing cards. The number of ways to distribute these 5 missing cards is 2 to the power of 5, which is 32. So there are 32 cases in total. Now, if you want a singleton honor to drop, specifically with ease, then you have exactly 2 chances of that happening. Like either ease has the queen or jack. That means that this play will work out 2 out of 32 of the time. Now for the double finesse. For the double finesse to work, you need West to have both the queen and the jack. Now there are 2 ways to distribute the queen and 2 ways to distribute the jack. So you only get queen jack on side 1/4 of the time. Since the 1/4 chance of the double finesse is much better than trying to drop an honor, we should take the double finesse. Okay, so now that you understand the basics, let's move on to a slightly more complicated case. Let's say you have the choice of going for a 3-3 break or taking a finesse in another suit. If you are missing 6 cards in a suit, there are 2 to the power of 6, which is 64 ways of distributing the suit. The odds of having a 3-3 break is 6 choose 3, which is 20 out of 64. The chances of a finesse working is 50%, so you should take the finesse. So remember just now I mentioned that this will not be as accurate as memorizing a probability table. That is because of the concept of vacant spaces. So vacant spaces is this concept of like, the more cards you know a person holds, the less likely they are to also hold another card. So for example, let's say West preempted 3 spades. So we know they have at least 6 or 7 spades. We bid to say 4 hearts and West leads a spade, which is roughs. So if you and your partner have 6 spades between you, now you know that West started with 7 spades and East started with none. You also know the card that East played to rough. So there are 6 spaces left in West's hand to contain any other card, while there are 12 spaces left in East's hand to contain any other card. So East's hand is twice as likely to contain a particular card than West. So if you're missing 4 cards in a suit, there are 16 ways to distribute these cards. Using our cases, we get 4 choose 2, which is 6 ways to get a 2-2 break, 8 ways to get a 3-1 break either way, and 2 ways to get a 4-0 break. But these breaks do not actually have equal probabilities of happening. Each case of 2-2 breaks will be more likely than those of 3-1 and even more so than those of 4-0. So if you look at the probability tables, it will show that the odds of a 2-2 break happening is 40%, whereas in our calculation, we calculated 6 out of 16 cases, which is 37.5%. If you look at the odds of 3-3 breaks, it's actually 36% as compared to our calculations earlier, which was 20 out of 64, which is 31.25%. So yeah, if you choose to use my method, then do bear this in mind.